wonder if I waited too long. Oh no, allegedly we're live.
Okay. I love that you can wait too long.
That our pre-chit chat went so long as they were the stream area like the link
Yeah.
disappeared.
Yeah, they were like, actually, never mind. Hi everyone. Oh my gosh, we're back.
It's been several minutes, as the kids say.
You nailed that.
So smooth. I've never once ever in my life been accused of being cool. Never once. Not even accidentally. Not even by somebody who just wouldn't know better.
No.
You know, no.
Other things, sure. Cool? No. Nope.
Well, everyone, it has been a little while. So it's sweet to be back with you. Yeah. We took a pause right at the start of the eclipse season. Yeah. And the roller coaster has like, don't get off in the middle of the ride. Just keep your seatbelt buckled, stay in the seat, keep all your limbs in the car, and wait till the ride comes to a complete stop. Now, it hasn't technically. However, we did feel safe enough to hop out of the car.
Yep. Still huddled in safety gear, but out of the car. Yeah, it's hi everybody. It's really nice to be back. We've missed being together here in this way, and we've also missed all of you. We're starting to slowly dip our toes back into some aspects of life, but the past couple of months for both of us have been pretty intense, lots of transition, lots of life shifts. And so we thought we'd come back today and just say hello again and reconnect with each other and with all of you, and spend some time together.
Transition and shift seems to be the theme of this most recent series of everything from geomagnetic storms to eclipses to moons to all the things. So we'd love to know how you all are weathering the shifts and changes in your lives, and
yes,
and really how you're nourishing yourself. How are you just taking care of yourself? You know, what does that look like for you in your worlds? And Abby, do you want to dive in? Just share a little bit about like some of the some of the shifts and what do shifts afford us? Lessons. Ooh. And what do lessons afford us? Growth. And then what do we get to do with that growth? Integrate.
We integrate. Oh, I think you just nailed that.
And then lather, rinse, repeat. You know, then you get a barbecue in between, and then start all over.
Yes. Yep. You know, this has been a really interesting time. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This has been a really tough couple of months for me. And I think I have heard that from many folks that this has been a really, there's just been a lot of transition in a lot of people's lives. And transition is interesting, right? Because I think generally change is difficult for humans. It's uncomfortable when our reality that we think we know starts to alter. And I think even when we have a sense of what change is coming because maybe we initiated the change, it still doesn't make that transition time any easier. So for me, in the past 6 months, a long-term marriage has ended for me. I have moved, which I deluded myself into thinking was going to be pretty easy. And it was really difficult. I did it all myself because I was like, oh, no problem. It's just no problem. I'm only moving a mile away.
Oh, I love the distance was your litmus, not like stuff.
No, I was like, oh, it's cool. I'll just take a few carloads up and down the hill. No problem. Yeah. Few carloads. No worries. I've just like, it's my work has shifted a lot. Pretty much every single category of my reality has changed in 6 months. Like I've done a 180 in my life, which I initiated and I have, made the choices around. And that doesn't mean that the actual time of transition has been any easier. It's been a difficult time. And what I have been learning is that Daniela says this all the time, grief has its own timeline, right? It comes when it comes in the waves when it does. You can't put controls around that. But B, because I'm also experiencing a lot of beauty and joy, I'm learning how to hold the whole scope of reality sort of at once and let in some weeks are way more griefy. Some weeks are way more joyful. And sometimes it's more of a woven experience of all the things in between, right? So I'm learning how to hold that whole process. And sometimes it feels easier than other times. It's just, I think it's just life. I think that learning of how to hold it all is, I think that's what healing is. Really.
That's so beautifully.
And I just want to like say, if you're also experiencing
Mm.
transition, just because you might be in the healing process and it doesn't always feel great. Like it's not this like, oh, I'm healed and I'm healing, so I'm doing a great job of holding all the spaces. It's just um like that process of learning to hold it all is sort of an expansion contraction experience. So I just want to sort of put it out there that this is nothing happening here is like a perfection experience. So that's been my couple of months. It's been an intense one for me, and I'm so happy to be back here with you. I love doing this with you so
No.
much.
And friends, we keep coming back to friendship really as the master key, and we're so committed to creating spaces and places and communities. We were going to launch SoulFriend Circle right at the start of the eclipse season, right on the first day, on the day of Abby's move, just driving a few carloads
Just
down
like a few
the
carloads,
road, and
it's fine.
so we, between both our brains, we're like, maybe this isn't the best idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we do intend to bring that, what we've been talking about for months prior, out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. we're still landing from so many shifts.
Yeah. And do you want to talk and no pressure, do you have any updates from the 2 months that you want to share with folks, just to like give us and it can be general, just a sense of how 2 months have been?
How's your eclipse season?
How's your eclipse season?
Oh, sweet deer, beautiful moment of deer walking through field, and there's like so many flowers in the field. It's like picturesque, like deer just kind of like prancing along. Yeah, they always look like little horses, like just out in the sunny field. I guess that just brings me to what caught my eye is the importance of, and well, really, like you said, try to find a time in life where there isn't actually change and transition. And some of them just may feel bigger, have bigger impact, feel harder on the heart than others. And there are so many places where our joys and our nourishments intersect, and beauty in nature is just like a saving grace. It is like it is the everything. It is the, for anybody that knows me, and thank you for always welcoming like voice memos about the birds I'm watching in real time that are pretty standard, like I can flip over a sparrow. So there's no bird that is more or less spectacular. And like May 1st, when I could feel the shift, and all these birds came back, and some are continuing their migratory path, and they just bring me so much joy. So nature and birds are like heaven. It's like, I just can breathe them in. It is like such nourishing medicine. And yeah, so that I know that sounds so silly and simple.
It
And
doesn't at all.
how many times have we shared pretty much the same meme back and forth in our text journaling of like, in your 20s and 30s, you get very excited about a party. And
Yep.
at a certain age, you're like really excited about tufted titmouse. That is just what happens. And then, of course, to get super spectacular, the Orioles are here
Mm.
and they eat a lot of grape jelly. And I will tell you this, for friends that like Orioles and like feeding them, just make sure the jelly you give them, it's a 1-to-1 ratio, like of water to jelly. So you thin it down. Make sure the jelly is only made with sugar, not high fructose corn syrup. It's so hard to find jelly that doesn't have high fructose corn syrup, and it's not good for them.
Mm.
So, so it just so
I
the
know.
Dollar General actually is the only place in town that I can find grape jelly made with sugar. So
That's the thing. Oh my God, that's
so they get it, and the hummingbirds, of course, are back. And so if you like to feed hummingbirds, remember to change your feeders every 2 days, clean them really thoroughly, and you don't need the red stuff. You just 1 part sugar to 4 parts water. Boil the water, add the sugar, let it cool, and the red dye can make them sick, even though it's very pretty. And they don't need it to find the feeder. They don't need the red color. The base of the feeder is red enough.
You're my favorite bird lover on earth. Because I think here's why. I have had the privilege of spending time with Daniela when she's with birds. It's so lovely. I had like watching Daniela watch the birds I'm not kidding. It is the sweetest, most joyful. It'll even be like mid voice memo. She'll be like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. This is going on. And okay, yeah. And oh, tell me about this and that. Oh, wait. I think the Oriole is at the feeder. Hold on. It's so, and then I get to experience it with her from a distance. It's the best.
And just all the new life is so beautiful. Like right over my little porch, there's a triangle something, no idea what you call it in an architecture sense, triangle. And there's a space, and little red squirrels were born, so they would like peek their faces out. So then that was super fun because I hear them scurrying around. I think Mama would be like, okay, everybody stay put, I'm gonna go get food. And then of course they were like all over the place. So putting little snacks and water out for them. It's just a joy. Nature can hold everything. Like, oh God, I was missing you. Oh, so much the other day in our South Hill walks. There's this place where when Abby and I lived together, the South Hill Trail. It's like a bike path. It's like pavish, rocky-ish, kind of. Actually, don't even know if there's any pavement.
Yeah.
Remember, is it paved?
I think it's gravelly, more so.
Gravelly, rocky, yeah. And it just long and straight and so magical. Like
And it was right near our house.
oh, and those walks, oh my gosh, we went like every day for years.
Oh, now I'm gonna.
I know, and just nature just can hold everything, and it reflects back to us every truth that is beyond words, right? Like truth really can't be put to language. It's beyond language. And yet somehow nature reflects back and brings you into the embodied knowing and the embodied feeling of truth. Um, and I just can't say it enough. It can just hold everything. It welcomes everything. So I know you've been on some, nature has been pivotal. It always has been. It has been for both of us in our lives. Like our happiest places are in nature. And how has it been supporting you? How has nature been holding you?
I'm pausing because this is to me the most important topic in my life.
Yeah.
I would even put the umbrella of it as connection, because for me, and I've been talking a little bit more about this on social media and stuff, because this has been my primary practice. I've learned a lot of beautiful methodologies over my, whatever, 10, 15 years of study, different meditations and things like that. But all of that for me has woven into my most daily healing, connecting practice that I do is I walk in the same places and I spend time intimately building relationships with natural spaces. I it's a conscious effort. It allows me to connect to my own body. It allows me to feel what's happening in my soma, to do somatic processes, to get embodied, to feel. I walk and I allow things, in the container of nature, like you said, because there's not the mind is not busy with what's happening in our lives. It allows to rise to the surface what's already there living in my body. And so I have walked and sang and cried and talked to Danny and like laughed and had conversations with trees and plants. All of that I have done again and again on the same pathways, whether it was South Hill Trail for years. Now I have, because I'm in a different place, a different trail that I go on. But building that relationship, having that connection, it is pivotal to healing. And I think what the most important element of that is knowing that the same consciousness that animates us is also the consciousness that animates everything, obviously, but nature. So when we're talking, when we're connecting, when we're building that relationship with the natural world, there is a give and take. There's a reciprocal thing happening. There's a giver and a receiver. Nature is receiving what we are feeling and talking about and giving back in the form of many things, whether it's wisdom or just connection or what the air that we breathe or we're foraging, whatever. There's a million ways that that's happening. But it's such a huge topic to me, the relationship that we build with the natural world. And it also reflects our relationships with each other. We can build intimacy with ourselves and with nature and with others using the same core principles. So that was maybe like, I don't know if I answered your question.
I have a zillion more. No, keep sharing about it, because I mean, what you're speaking of is our natural way.
It is.
This is our natural way. We have, how amazing. So many advancements and
Yes.
like all kinds of amazing things. And there's been a cost, and that cost is a tremendous disconnection from nature and moving with the matching the rhythms of our nature with nature. And so to be working not in sync with nature through our days, and how do we use our time and for what, I forget who it was that pointed this out. It's sort of kind of like obvious, and yet we're like the only being that works for money. So with that, given the structure as it currently is, it really takes a commitment. It takes the applied will to remain connected in nature, especially if you're busy with work and children and families and meals, right? Like families with a few children, it's like every meal, 3 meals a day is like a mini Thanksgiving.
Oh my God.
So just surviving takes so much energy. And so it's just so easy to become disconnected from nature. And as soon as that happens, we start feeling more and more separate and dense.
Oh my God. Yes.
So in that, like, what would you suggest to people if they find themselves really just aware? Yes, man, exactly. So much time cooking and cleaning, and it's like Groundhog's Day. So how do we create structures in our lives that allow, even just for something, some time? How do we, when we're, especially when we're exhausted, our lifestyle is really draining. It is a very, if you're living in survival, it's a very draining. And so that cultivation of energy, nature just allow you to rejuvenate, and yet it takes something to step away from all the things and all the doings to really give yourself that nourishment. And it can almost seem, if you've been disconnected for a little, for a minute, it can almost feel initially like maybe it's not so nourishing, because we're so used to results being fast and immediate,
Yeah.
right? Through technology and efficiency. I think the easier in some ways our lives have become, the harder it is on us,
Oh,
because we don't have that stamina.
yeah. We're not built to.
Yeah.
You know, you asked, what do you suggest? And for those of you that were here for the whole podcast, and if you weren't, you can, tune back at another point. There was a moment where I asked Daniela a question, and she said, "A deer out my window in the meadow."
Hmm.
To me, that's it. Like that is it. We don't have to go out into some big lush forest or to the ocean. We can, and that's wonderful. Like when we get the chance for that, oh my God, yay, take it. But in our daily lives, nature is all around us. I have a plant behind me. This is a friend of mine. Daniela has bird feeders outside of her window. I live on a sidewalk, and I walk the same sidewalk in my neighborhood every day. And there are plants on that walk I see every day. They're just neighborhood plants. Many of you may live in urban areas.
Shrubbery.
Sidewalk shrubbery. Totally.
Shrubbery.
You don't have to know the name. You can, yay. If that's fun for you, you love to identify stuff. You love to, I'm an herbalist. I love foraging. Yay. That's so fun. That's a fun way to connect. But it may sound really silly, but this is literally what I do. I walk by and I say, "Hi, good to see you." Just a touch. Hi. Oh, I love, this little lavender. Hi. And I smell my finger when I touch the lavender, so I can get the scent in my system. It's little things, moments of connection. It's looking out the window at bird feeders or deer or grass or a tree or a sidewalk that someone has a pot on with a plant that you like, and just acknowledging that relationship is existing now. To me, that's
It's changed every time you see it. There's something a little bit different. I love finding
different.
the new in the familiar.
Yes.
I love that repetition, because and I think what you're speaking to strikes such a chord again of our true essential nature. Our nature is to immerse in the space that we occupy.
Yes.
It's a newer invention that we could get into silver tubes and whirl through space 700 miles an hour and 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 go from east coast to west coast. And so because we can do that, it's been easy perhaps to lose sight of the it's not sinking in, it's the intimacy
Yeah.
in the mandala that you live in, your community, your property, your neighborhood, your community. um,
Yes.
how far can you walk is your mandala.
It is. Yeah, that is very true.
You are the center, and then the circumference, or the diameter, I guess. If you walk straight, that's diameter, right? Like that's your mandala. And so getting to know the details
I love this.
is what sources the sensations of intimacy.
Yes. I love what you're saying so much.
Mm.
I think what you were talking about with modern advancements, it's like, oh my God, yes, thank you. yes, I'm not a no to anything that's happening. We have StreamYard. You and I can talk to each other from across the country. Thank God. I can come visit you. Oh my God, thank God. Like, yay for all the things. And I think we, especially perhaps in modern Western culture, have a lot of audacity sometimes to think that we're more advanced than our ancestors were. I think that takes a lot of audacity to think that.
I love that.
Like and I say that with, just jest and like with a lot of love. In many ways, yes, there have been advances. And in many ways, our ancestors were connected in ways that were very profound to things that we no longer have that type of connection with, which again is fine. This is not a judgment. But the reason I'm saying that is, I posted a video recently about talking with nature, and a couple of people posted underneath like, oh my God, people always think I'm crazy for talking to trees. Guys, it's not crazy to have a relationship with nature. It is very inherent. It's innate to us as humanity. We would have lived, like, even the language of having a relationship with nature would not have been hundreds of years ago, because it's so all encompassing. It's so interconnected. It's so intertwined that you wouldn't be separate from it in a way to say, I have a relationship with it. We now need to create that language and create that context. But I say that because if you're a person if you're resonating with what Danny and I are talking about right now, like, you feel that longing, that connection, you have that relationship, you talk to trees, you sing to your plants, you get really excited when you see an oriole or a hummingbird at your feeder. And Danny, I hope it's okay that I shared this, but Danny welcomes in the birds very consciously. She makes conscious alters, and the second she sees a new bird, she is ready with what that bird loves to eat. Ready, like at the ready. That's a relationship. That's years of watching, paying attention, watching their movements, noticing what time of year they come. This is relational. It's deep and it takes time. It's an intimacy that's built over time. So I'm saying this because if you're somebody who feels that, trust it. Like, let it lead you. Don't try to control it. If you want to sing to your houseplants like I do, do it. If you want to say, hey, Douglas fir, like I do when you're walking down the path, do it. Talk to them. Like, that is real. You can trust that.
And I love your point about you do not need to know its name. You can make up names, right? Like, if I don't know birds, I just make names up. Or if I don't know plants, you remember that video that was like they just made up really sweet names for animals that we know, like the boople snoot was like,
yeah, oh my God, yeah.
I forget what it was.
That's one of my favorite videos of all time.
It might have been a sea lion, however, it was renamed the boople snoot. Right? So, like, if you don't know Douglas fir, like, oh, like green-tipped sweetheart.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Green tips.
I'm gonna call him green tip sweetheart from now on. I love that even more.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about it. And if this is new for you, if you're like, oh my gosh, I love nature and I've been disconnected, then just start where you are. And this is where Mary Oliver's brilliance is. Pay attention, be astonished, and then tell about it. So go out for a walk wherever and then keep revisiting those same places. Like I've lived in Ithaca 25 years, half my life now. And I now know certain trees that are just downtown that I know between April 29th and May 10. There's a couple of magnolias and the cute little, like, I think it's I don't know. It's just the pink happy tree. I call it, like, cause I don't know what it is. It's adorable. And I know where it is and I know its size and it's so cute. It's just the cutest little tree. Like, that's the week that those friends come out. And then there's another week where the willows down at the park are just at their maximum glory. So just start where you are. And I love it too. I love looking at people's like window boxes on, if I walk around in Fall Creek and just
I love that.
People's plants and flowers. And then the rogue ones that they don't even know we're coming up because
love the rogue ones.
Hi. Um, like sometimes like rain will wash them and then they end up in some rogue spot and they
Yes.
come up and it's just this is what intimacy is. So just start exactly where you are and then bring treats, right? Bring
Oh.
like
This
bring a
is
little
this is Boop's favorite. This is
you
like
you bring
I
offerings.
do, but you are like my inspiration for it. You're just the queen of the
We
tree.
saw a little baby squirrel at a tree on Searles Road. Well, that next day he he had the peanut bonanza. And it just bring treasure, bring treats, bring offerings. It could just be a couple pecans or what do you like to give to the trees? What offerings do you bring for the trees?
Honestly, well, I bring rocks a lot. Like I'll bring I'll on my way, especially I do have some particular trees that I revere in a particular way because I think they are the mother trees of the forest. If you don't
Tell
know
us
what
about Mother
mother
Tree.
trees are,
Tell us the story of Mother Tree if someone listening. They're like,
I could talk about this forever and ever. I have, if you haven't read the book by Suzanne Simard, who coined the term mother tree, which by the way, I did not know when I named my business. It was a word that dropped in and I discovered this later.
no.
Oh, I had no idea that it was a real thing. No, it just dropped in and I was like, okay, cool, noted. And then I made my business name. And then later I discovered the scientist that actually coined this term. And she has proven, I'm rereading it now because there's a lot of science that's really interesting that I want to like get in my brain. But every forest has what she calls mother trees, and mother trees are the oldest trees in that forest, but they pass along nutrients through fungal networks, but not just nutrients. This is what's really interesting. They actually, first of all, those networks have the same structure and chemicals that our brains have, the same. It's amazing. If you see side by side images of brain structures and mitochondrial structures, they are the same, and we have the same chemical signals, which is really interesting. And what they've discovered actually is that the mother trees can pass along information. For example, if they're dying, they can pass along through those chemicals information to the next generations of trees so that they know how to take care of the next generations. It's really, really, really magnificent. It's science that proves what cultures and nations have known for thousands of years, right?
Wait, can I ask a question? When
Yes.
you say they pass on information how to take care of the trees, what is taking care of them? Like what could that look like?
Okay. Well, there's much more than what I'm going to share, but here are the two things that arose immediately. Number one, they will feed the young and they can recognize their own seeds. This is really interesting. They can recognize their own babies that come from their seeds. It's really interesting. And they will actually parse out nutrients to give to surrounding beings in the forest. So that's number one. And number two is they've actually found that the structure of growth, this is so interesting. The structure of tree growth is such that the larger trees actually do create sort of a protective barrier around the younger trees as they're growing, just as a mother would of any species. It's beautiful. And more every year, there's more science about this kind of stuff coming out. I'm not doing it justice. They're like, I will learn the language to really speak it well. It's really incredible. Um, but why was I went on a sidebar about mother trees. Oh, thank you for asking.
And asked a
Oh,
question. Sorry.
no, don't, sorry. I mean, I could like on and on. I think
Well, we might, friends. This may no, this might just be Trees and Birds podcast.
this is Trees and Birds, this is Trees and Birds podcast from now on. That's just what it is. But so it depends on the tree. So the mother trees, which I don't know, right? I don't know. I identify them by spending a lot of time in a certain area. I look for the larger trees. I feel into my sense of like, there are just certain trees where I have a feeling around them like, whoa. You know, have you ever been around sort of an elder who really like loves to teach or loves to, like, they have a presence, you know? There are certain trees and other beings, but I'm talking about trees specifically that have that presence. It's
Mm.
just a felt sense.
Yeah.
So when I'm visiting those trees, I am more specific about bringing an offering. But in general, an offering you can always give is song.
Mm.
I think plants, I don't know this to be true. Again, this is just me in my own life experience. I have no idea, but I think especially now, plants like being recognized and seen, and like to give your awareness and your attention and your singing voice and maybe a touch. I really feel that they appreciate that. I don't know that that's true, and that might be like magical thinking, but for
No,
me,
they do.
I think they do. And I have certain plants that I touch a lot. Like I touch them every time I walk by them, and I don't know, it just builds something. There's a something between us. And I feel seen too, not just that I sense that they feel seen, but I feel like they know me. And that feels, especially in the world that we live in, which can feel very isolating, and especially when we're going through hard times. I think to feel that feeling of being seen or witnessed by others, of course, like primarily other humans is important, but like, I don't know, feeling seen by nature, there's something about it that feels so deeply nourishing.
Mm.
And
Mm.
it's just a process of just slowly building it, like just really taking just a moment of effort to like create that bond.
I
So
just,
that was
I
a
just,
very long answer to
when you
your
said
question.
that, I just saw the image, and you probably have already done this. Oh, hummingbird.
Hi, hi, hi.
He's sitting. His little legs are resting.
Teeny legs.
Tiny. He chirped. He just chirped. They peep. They're little pipsqueaks.
I love hummingbird sounds.
It's a literal. I think that's where the term pipsqueak. I'm making this up. Must have come from, because they do pipsqueak, and when they're angry pipsqueaking,
Oh,
and
cute.
to make their little, to like show that they're the big bird on the block, like their little teeny weeny little back, like tail feathers just widen a touch, because that's as big as they can
That's
get.
as big as they can get.
So cute. Um, I think that I will. So what I just saw when you're describing was that every single plant has its own song to give you, to share with you, and probably this was something you did in herbal school, right? Or I know, I think I remember from any of our conversations, our cups of tea on the kitchen floor, was, at least I have an image of this, of you just communing with certain plants, like with steadily over time. It's not just a
Yeah.
one shot, like, oh, I'm gonna just sit with you, what do you have for me, we're good, like, thank you. It's a you keep showing up, you keep showing up, you keep showing up, and it's through that steadiness and
Yeah.
consistency that a relationship develops, and there's a back and forth communing. And
Yes.
just as much as we have to share, and it receives, I just saw you receiving the unique songs of whatever you're communing with, whatever nature you're communing with. do you
Totally.
do you hear music, or have you, like, can you share a little bit about your journey of communing with plants and trees?
The music, it depends on the plant. It's really interesting. Um, this is something else I love. Like this, to me, this is such a vast topic of healing, but we all receive information in different ways, right? For our own inner wisdom. Like Danny is like, oh my God. When Danny says, I heard too, I'm like, I'm listening. Because Danny has a really keen listening, that is really like, I've never met somebody with a listening like yours. Um, it's really spectacular. And And for me, it depends on the plant. Sometimes things are more visual for me, and sometimes things are more like a felt sense. And when I have that felt sense, sometimes that rises into song or voice. Sometimes it depends on the plant. But I've experienced with flowers. Again, this is my own. This I'm not saying this is the truth. I'm
But
saying
that's
this.
the beauty of this. That's the
Yes,
beauty of we are here to explore our own. We may be influenced by others that have gone before us and learn, and yet we also simultaneously are here to discover our unique expression of connection. What does that look like, sound like? What are the textures of how we feel intimacy with ourselves, others, in the world?
yes. Yes, it's so true. And I think that how you long to do that with nature because it's a safe place will show you how you long to do it with humans. We get more threatened with humans, right? Because we have all our stuff. We have all our fears, we have all of our survival mechanisms that come up. There's more of a threat with humans. So I think spending time in nature can teach us how we long for intimacy. For
Mm.
example, I'm a toucher. I want to touch all the plants. And I found for those of you who know stinging nettles do sting. That's why they have that name. They will sting you. And this year when I gathered, I felt a deep longing to do it without gloves. And usually I will gather with gloves because they really will sting up your hands quite a bit. And with big ones, I had an experience this year where I actually got a rash from them, which has never happened to me before, like hives kind of. But I felt a longing because I love this plant so much. There was just this weird longing to
Mm.
feel it, to like feel that medicine. To And
Mm.
people have used those stings for medicine, which we could get into in a totally different podcast. But um I like there was a longing to have that touch relationship, even though I knew that there was an element of quote unquote pain. It's not like horrific, but it does, it does last 24 to 48 hours. It's not like a quick sting and goes away. The what's it called? The little vial of stinging medicine lives in your skin for a while. So,
Wow.
but there was something about longing for that kind of intimacy, and I noticed that with trees too. I've talked about the Douglas fir a lot because I've been connecting with it a lot lately. And I just want to, when I walk past, I want to touch it. It's like, like when you love a friend and you want to like braid their hair. It's that feeling. It's like, oh, I just want to I want to feel what these need. Oh, I want to feel what these young ones feel like. They're so much more tender than the older ones. Like there's just a sense of that. So when you ask about like communing, it's interesting. It's different with each plant.
Mhm.
And I notice the more I get to know myself, the more it evolves. It used to be much more like songish and visuals, like sort of I would close my eyes, spend time with the plant, ask questions and see things. Now I want more of like a embodied connection with plants in a way that I didn't used to,
Mm.
because I know myself more. And I know that that's important to me in intimacy in general. So it just, I don't know, it evolves, and it has to do with like your guidance and your wisdom and your desire, and how that plays out. So I would be super curious to hear other people's experience of connection with plants and how you get information, how you get wisdom, how you build intimacy. That would be something I'd be really interested in hearing.
I'm so present to how what you're describing are, as three-centered beings, our head center of wisdom and knowledge and intuition, and our heart center of love and felt a space of feeling. And then the core center, or the body center, is the center of power um, and that relationship of power. I love how, as I've known you over the years, you dance in the three centers in your relations with yourself and with nature. And the center you shared in another podcast that is seeking, like, our evolution as individuals is to be congruent with all three centers.
Mm,
And one of our centers is going to perhaps even over lead the way. One of them is sort of right in the middle, and one is a little bit of a building some stamina in that center and some attention and care is called for to bring all three in balance. And so I just love how like the somatic, the body center
Ugh.
is really what you're craving, because that's the one that's bringing you, like, the love and wisdom are very congruent, and the body center is the one that's like, hey, let's all get congruent now. Let's
Absolutely.
like for you to know yourself
Been
through
work
that
for me.
center,
Yeah.
as well as you know yourself through the other centers, is really incredible. And to relate to nature through that center.
Oh, it's the best.
Hmm.
It's the best. We really get to play in our senses on earth in a human body. I think it's something special about being human. And I think senses go far beyond the five that we talk about in our bodies. And there might even be more body senses than we name, right? But to interact with, that's why I also love foraging, because I can pick and taste a little and get a sense. That's a whole other relationship. Like it can go far beyond what's medicinal about it. It can, the experience of the taste or the flavor of a plant speaks to their nature in a way. So what was I saying? I got lost in the sense. So yeah, just getting to play in our experience of our senses in nature in whatever form that rises for you or that you are being called towards is, again, I think how we build that intimacy with ourselves first and foremost, and then with nature, and then again to ripple that out into our friendships and communities respectfully, obviously, everybody, especially when we're talking about senses, right? Like touch and all of that, respectfully. And with people that we love, we can talk about those things and learn how to build intimacy in different ways with the people that we love over time, because we're getting to know ourselves better. And therefore we get to bring that to our relationships. So.
And there's nothing quick about like getting to know a plant. You're really getting present and inviting it to be the most significant interaction in the moment that exists. It's like all of your attention, all presence is just in that moment or series of moments. Right there. It isn't quick, and it doesn't also have to take 10 minutes, and it's just allowing ourselves, again, our pace to come back to a more natural way. That's really what I think in part grounding is very much about. When we're ungrounded, we feel frenetic and tense, and there can be a sense of hurriedness internally. It's a sensation. And to really be with nature allows the whole nervous system can just come into a releasing and a softness, an inner softness, and that takes a few moments to do that.
It really does. I actually made a video this morning about the somatic practice that I do when I walk. And the first thing that I noted verbally because I just was talking through it as I was doing it, is my pace automatically slows. Like I don't have to think about it. When I start to observe my surroundings with consciousness, like, oh, now I'm hearing the birds. Oh, now I'm smelling the fresh air. Oh, now I feel my foot stepping on the ground. When I just bring my attention to that, my pace automatically slows way down, like way a lot, by at least half or more. It's actually a natural thing that happens when we just sink in to ourselves in nature, like truly sink, I think.
Oh, it's beautiful. Well, what would you like to close on? We've been chatting about plants and birds now for just about an hour.
Plants and birds. Well, let's close on I think we'll swing back to the beginning, right? Why did we talk about this today? Because Danny and I both have been going through a lot of transition, and there have been joys and challenges throughout that process. And one of the most important ways that we find healing is through connection.
Mm.
And that connection is expressed through nature deeply and through our friendship and other friendships. But our friendship, our soul friendship, is a huge, important part of our healing process. So I think it's a topic that we want to now really focus a lot of our attention on moving forward, is community, connection, soul friendship, relationships with nature, relationships with ourselves. I think that that's really the funnel that we're moving into. And
creative
for
expression.
you, yeah.
And
Yeah.
creative expression too. That's another element of the soul, that everyone is an artist.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
If you don't identify as an artist, all that means is you haven't yet discovered how you love creating. You just may never have, maybe you love cooking or trying like creative recipes, and it seems so simple that you've never thought of yourself as an artist that way. And how could so we
Yes.
really also, part of our future offerings will be focused on helping people to connect to the artist within.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want to paint. I want to learn how to paint birds. Like, my magic wand is that I have the
Oh, I
time.
got goosebumps.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Go ahead.
But and then of course, like, my mind goes to, like, I just see stick figure bird.
It's too sick for feet.
It immediately Lammy cakes it, right? I just saw the most beautiful, sweet little watercolor of a bird.
I saw watercolor too. Yep.
Then I saw the two circles, like, and like the wings and like the beak and the yeah. So there's that. So anyway,
and that's great too. Either is great, and I could see you really getting into painting birds.
We'll see. I've got a real conviction that may be what we're tuning into, and I have no clue if I have any talent, so whatsoever. And obviously, the key is, do you enjoy it? Yeah. And I would like, I do have an intention that what I potentially paint actually does, like, somebody be like, oh my God, that's a bird, or not, like, is that a washing machine?
Is that a washing machine? Like, oh my God, I love this washing machine that you painted.
So anyway, and that's part of really tapping into your creative self, is like, what have you, when you see things, what lights you up? Why Abby and I both really love the word inspired and inspiration. Like, what do you love that lights you up? And how is what lights you up calling you forth? It may simply be in the realm of appreciation and to admire and cherish. That's fine. It doesn't mean because you love a painting you have to try painting. And is that what's calling to you? Might it be? Or dear, he's going back and forth. It's the cutest. So that's also very much a part of, I think, moving forward, that we'd love to support you in, is connecting with yourself.
Yeah.
Making your friendships or emerging friendships a priority.
Absolutely.
I saw a really sweet quote the other day that said, like, notice who keeps showing up in your life. Like, who just keeps showing up. Now, that could be a, wow, you're not respecting healthy boundaries.
Absolutely.
In which case, that this is not an invitation to say, F it.
Whatever. Yeah.
And yet, like, who is just a steady stand for you?
Yeah.
And there may be some friendships that baby juvenile Oriole, so he didn't really know how to do grape jelly. He's right there. I'm gonna lean a little bit.
I love you so much.
He's not there and he just pooped. sumac is the loo. Oh my gosh, what I love about this sumac, and it's very close to the house, and oftentimes it's not ideal for foundations to have a big solid, because sumacs they're hardy. And I'm like, no, we can't cut the sumac, because when all his leaves come in and it's pouring rain, the hummingbirds still have to eat. Right? And so he comes in, and there's this one branch that he only sat on in rainstorms, and he'd be like, the wind is like, moving it around, and the leaves were a little umbrella, and it was just this one teeny tiny branch that he just loved, and he would just hold on to for the ride.
Your life, yep.
Yep. Oh, it's so sweet. It's so sweet. It's this little shelter. But then they would brave it, and they were like, all right, we got to go out there in the rain now and get that drink.
Oh my God, it's so sweet. Oh, I love that. Oh,
I love you, Boop.
I love you, Boop.
When we come back next week, we'll have to sort of do a recap on like our journey together, and what has us here.
Yeah, let's do that.
Many years later.
Let's do that. That's great. We love you all so, so much. Thank you for being with us. This is like our favorite thing ever. So thank you for being with us.
And for you magical people and nature lovers, thank you for hanging out with us and talking about trees and birds.
Absolutely.
Because there will be more.
Oh yes, there will be more.
Bye, friends. We'll see you soon.
Bye, friends.